Hey everyone, I just wanted to post a quick video with some reactions to Module 1. So overall, we made it through week 1. I think it was a great start to the class, great discussion board. So I have a few, I'm going to do like some kind of quick responses, just a few things without going into much detail, and then a few more in-depth thoughts that surface for me from the discussion board, and then we'll wrap up. I'm hoping to keep this video pretty brief. Uh, all right, so quick responses. It came up about, so what do you do if there's abuse in the family or in a couple? And so do you see the family client if abuse is occurring? My first reaction in general kind of go-to answer is no, because the information that surfaces from getting more vulnerable in the counseling session can lead to maybe using that against the partner outside of the family counseling. So that's kind of my first reaction. Other family counselors might have others, but from what I've heard a lot, feel similarly of if there's abuse going on, then it can be harmful to the family client, the whole system in general. So maybe individual work first until they can get to a place where they're ready to come together. All right. Another about involving inactive family members in counseling, or maybe a family member who doesn't really want to get involved in family counseling, isn't super active or seeing the value in it. I think it's still like if they're willing to show up, I think that can be absolutely valuable. It might take a while for them to get some buy-in, but I think it's a great idea. Their lack of engagement might be indicative of their part in the family, their role in the family. The what they're kind of bringing to the table and resolving maybe some of the emotional dynamics. So it's something that's also just more information. Okay, so family counseling and children. Just a quick thing. Sometimes your client, so for school folks, your client is the student, not the family. So you're not really doing family counseling, even if there's a parent involved. Uh, but also, if you work with kids, you might meet with a parent every once in a while with the child present, but that's not really family counseling because your client is just the child and the parents being involved. So I just wanted to distinguish about that. So if a family member is part of a session, but they're not your active client based on the informed consent, then it's like family being involved in the individual work of your client when it's of benefit to your individual client. So a little bit different than family counseling. It also came up that family counseling, it was almost talked about as if family counseling was an approach, and that's kind of true. But I had a reaction to that. There's lots of different approaches that fit under family counseling. So it's just like under individual counseling, you're going to have lots of different theoretical orientations, different modalities to be applied. So maybe that's obvious, but I just wanted to name that like family counseling is going to look very different, and the theories that we get into are going to show how it can look pretty different. Okay, those were some of the quick fire responses that I had. Just a few other thoughts that might go into a little bit more detail. So I was working with a couple at one point, and they were almost considering like, should we move forward in a relationship or dissolve our relationship? Should we get married or kind of end? So then this was couples counseling work, and it's almost there's like this dynamic where the male partner would almost like chase after in a figurative sense of just like wanting to be close to, wanting to be emotionally like opening up, and the female partner would kind of distance. So it's like this dynamic where if he would start to get close, she would start to move away. But if he would not try to get close, or if he'd kind of start to distance, then she would come closer. uh so it was kind of like that dynamic was the presenting concern of this couple client. So it's almost like, okay, we're not needing to focus in on, okay, why is this male partner reacting how he's responding, why is the female responding, the partner responding how she's responding. It was more just like, okay, so you together are doing this dynamics, and we would talk about it openly of like, okay, I'm seeing it even now in session where you're trying to open up and get more details, and like we'd address the immediacy in the room of kind of the female partner kind of seeming to just distance even in the session. uh so I don't know if that like necessarily resolves this idea of being able to see the family or the couple as the client, but it's just more that relational process was what they're coming in for counseling for. So there are reasons why you know the male partner was kind of seeking after, and there are reasons why the female partner was kind of getting disengaged by that, and those could be worked out individually, but the process together was important for us to make sense of in the moment as it surfaced. Uh, let's see. I guess just a few last thoughts about family counseling in general is like I hope, I know all of you don't necessarily have a huge desire to do family counseling or couples counseling, but I hope if you have the opportunity that you give it a shot. Just mostly because an internship, you're going to have lots of built-in support. You're going to have your internship course. You're going to have your site supervision. You're going to have multiple layers and like the informal supervision that occurs at your site, I imagine, for many of you as well. So it's probably a really good time to get some feedback, to get some not just working on your own and just kind of winging it after you graduate and there's not these built-in support structures. So just a thought for giving it a shot while the support's there. And I think maybe the last thing about this to kind of give some encouragement is, when we think of interventions that are used in family counseling work, I would encourage you to think about how they're not much different than the skills you've already developed. So instead of just focusing on paraphrasing or feeling, reflecting just what's happening for one individual, it's kind of like how can you paraphrase the process that the family's occurring? How can you kind of name the feelings that are surfacing in the room? And there could be a multiple for different people. But a lot of the core skills that you've learned in pre-prac and practicum, those are absolutely gonna translate to working with a family system. So it's just like, okay, how can I just kind of reflect the meaning of what's going on, the unspoken rules in the family, and just kind of name those for the family, and then let the family chew on it. We will, learn some specific interventions in the class that are kind of related to family work. Some of it's almost like group work too, of circular questioning. But yeah, there will be some specifics. But I just wanted to encourage you to think about, I think a lot of the skills you already have developed are applicable still. So uh, yeah. I guess lastly, the last thing that's more just kind of like housekeeping is if you do draw from the Gladding text or elsewhere, make sure that you cite it. Many of you did that well, but even though it's the textbook for the class, I could tell that some of you were gleaning from the text, but you weren't referencing Gladding. So make sure that you are doing that. Even like I'm not going to be super nitpicky about APA format in the discussion boards. I will in the paper, but in the discussion boards, just make sure that you're at least referencing Gladding 2019. And if you do specific quotes, make sure to put the page number just so we can reference it if we need to. But this week I'll be a bit more lenient on the grading, but moving forward, even for discussion boards, yeah, it's really important to give credit to the sources that you're drawing from. So, okay, that's all I have. Almost. So in each module moving forward, there's going to be a bigger list of like vocabulary. It's not like in the exams that they're just going to be vocabulary, just like memorize the vocab and spit it back. But they're just terms that can be helpful in making sense of family counseling and could probably help with the exams as well as maybe the comprehensive exam and licensure exams too. So those just be aware of that. There is a big list. There's no need to like be super high anxiety about it to memorize everything, but just important terms to be aware of. So with that, that's what I have for just kind of the wrap up for module 1, and looking forward to module 2 and hopefully running into a few of you here in Alamosa. Thanks.